Hi everyone, welcome back to the cabin at Frog Hollow. Today we're celebrating tying some of the great flies, the historical flies of the Great Lakes. This one's no exception. This is Earl Madsen's dry skunk, one of the great topwater searching flies for trout, for panfish, smallmouth, crappie, just a great all-around topwater pattern. So let's get started. We're going to start with a Tiemco 101, which is a ring-eyed hook. You can use ring eye or downturn eye, whatever floats your boat here. But it is pretty much a duplicate of the Mustad 94840 that was used as a topwater dry fly hook back in those days, and this fly is no exception, of around 1930. So anyway, mount up your hook. Typically, this fly was tied in a size 10. You can make them a little bigger, a little smaller, but throw a dart at it. Size 10 is the fly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dress the hook with, I'm using 6/0 black thread. And we're going to dress the hook down to the bend of the hook. Directly opposite the barb of the hook is where our starting point is. And the skunk is calf tail. And as most of you that are seasoned fly tyers know, calf tail is a little bit unruly. It's hard to bind down. It's slippery as all get out. And I won't say it's impossible to stack, but it's really tough to stack. So I'm snipping out a pretty good sized clump, and then I'm taking all of the small down out of it. That just adds to the difficulty of this material. And then what we're going to do, rather than stack this, is just continue to make sure that the ends of the hair, we want a little taper to it, are not all helter-skelter. We want to measure the length of the hook shank, which is the length of the tail. I'm going to transfer that to my left hand, and we're going to go to our tie-in point right at the bend of the hook opposite the barb. We're going to go around this twice, situate it so it's right on top of the hook. Now I'm going to crank down on it, and I'm going to Palmer wrap this thread forward. I'm going to comb out. See how much down is in there? I just pulled that out of there. So we're just going to continue to wrap this up to about there. And I'm going to show you when I snip this out what about there means. It is, we have to allow for that deer hair clump to go in for the wing. So we want to come well short of the eye on this particular pattern. So in order to get a little plumper body, we use the butt tags of the calf tail or kip tail. Either is correct. And now we're going to go back over top, and we are going to start with medium black tinsel chenille. It has a little thread of tinsel going through it. I'm going to take out some of the fibers there, so we're tying in just the threads in the center of the chenille. Make a couple wraps there. You can see that tinsel tag part of it. Wrap that down. We're going to go up to our tie-off point. Now we're going to Palmer wrap the chenille forward. Nice concentric wraps. Every once in a while you'll see just a peak of that chenille sparkle through there, and that's kind of the essence of this body material. Right there, we're going to come in, make a couple wraps behind that chenille, tie it off. This is a pretty simple fly up to this point. The next step, however, can be troubling to a lot of folks. Myself included when I first started tying this fly. So we're going to dress that a little bit because we're putting some bucktail dressing, put down a layer of thread right there. So deer body hair is next on the docket. We're going to snip out a nice clump of that. And this we're going to stack. Look how unruly that is. I'm going to take those long hairs out of there. Then we're going to take the guard and the down out. I'm going to run my comb through it. This is about half the size of a pencil. And again, this depends on, you know, the hook size, how you want the profile of the fly to hook. But we're just going to stack that deer hair, a few little shakes and rattles and rolls, and it comes out of the stacker beautifully. And this wing now is measured at the tie-in point, which is here, about half the length of the tail, or just off the bend of the hook. You can see where those tips stop right there, just off the bend, or about halfway the length of the tail. So now we're going to go around this hair here twice. We want to make sure that that hair is on top of the hook, and we're going to pull right straight down on this thread to flare that deer hair. One more wrap, flare. Now we want to gather up all of these butt ends, and I'm going to take one more wrap just to secure it really well. Take these butt ends, grab my scissors, and I'm going to trim those butt ends off right there. Let me clean that up just a little bit. So we've got kind of a flared hopper head, if you will. Now we're going to take our thread and we're going to make one big palmer wrap back. And we're going to stop right there. It's about midway of the body of the fly. Let's look now and see how this looks. Is our hair on top? Did any roll on us? The answer is yes, it did. So let's just correct this, because you can't correct it later. So there we have it. We got it all on the top now. This one big palmer wrap, and stop right there. Now let's look again. That's perfect. Okay, we're going to flare now. We want that hair to flare. See how that's standing up like a stonefly wing? That's exactly how we want that to happen. Now, Earl used white rubber legs, which we now know there was no such fly tying materials. So these guys, you know, unwrapped balls, which were all back in those days, and maybe they still are today. Balls were wrapped in this rubber material, and we're going to snip that out. We've got that on that side. We're going to tie this other one in on this side. We're going to snip these up to make them even afterwards, so don't worry if the legs look different one side or the other. 2 wraps, snip that out. So those are placed. Now, you can see on top of the fly, I've made that one palmer wrap across the top. I'm going to pick up that wing, or that rubber leg, excuse me, and I'm going to make this wrap with a perfect X right on top of the fly, or as perfect as I can get it. That's what that should look like on the top. So we're going to come around. We're going to make one wrap right there. And then we're going to jump up in front of this deer hair. Just flare it up with your fingers. Clean away from the eye of the fly. Make a wrap or two, and we're going to whip finish. I'm using a long-throated whip finisher here. You don't have to on this fly. I just happen to have it on my desk here. 1. Make sure all of those hairs are up. 2, 3, 4. Kick and pull. And snip that thread out. I'm going to turn that upside down so I don't cut any of the rubber legs. Now we can take our rubber legs, just grab the 2 on that side, grab 2 on this side, stand them up, pick your shortest one, whatever that is. You can see there's one there that's shorter than the other. And we're going to snip them all so they're all the same. And now you can position those. And we have ourselves a bona fide Earl Madsen dry skunk. I'm going to turn it in this vise sideways. And you can see from the side profile you know, it looks like a big black stonefly, or could be a, you know, a dark-bodied hopper. But at any rate, it's a fabulous topwater searching fly. It floats like a cork because of the deer hair and the calf tail. Earl Madsen's dry skunk.